Well, good afternoon, everyone. Oh gosh, getting tangled up in my cord already and haven't hardly done a darn thing. Well, it's getting hot here again and humid. Shop is 82 degrees and 81% relative humidity, which makes it for being pretty uncomfortable. So, but at any rate, one of the first things I wanted to say thank you everyone so much for your responses to the light up for my mom. Many heartfelt responses in there, and I appreciate everything that you guys had to say. You know, I had debated turning off the comment section on that because I'm not doing it for useless internet points or anything like that, but I also thought people might want to be able to say something, so I left it up. So thank you, everyone. It was very nice, and it's also nice to kind of have this little community that we've all developed together, kind of sparred up and support each other, and people offering to do light ups for me and for my mom, and it's just I'm humbled by it. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. It does really mean a lot. With that, I think we're going to do a few little minor changes on the channel. I think what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to go work on a 2-week schedule as opposed to every week, because I've been thinking about this, and doing 52 videos a year is that's a lot of work, and it's a lot of time, and it sometimes isn't as fun as it should be. So anyway, I'm trying to condense this down. We're going to go to every 2-week schedule, and so yeah, that means half the number of videos, but you'll still get 25, and maybe our content will get a little bit better, and we can be a little bit more focused on maybe some more of the repairing stuff instead of the light up stuff. But the light ups are fun too. I've got some unique pieces that I've come across here, and speaking of unique pieces, today's bit, I mean, we all remember this dude. That I just got not too long ago. And so this is a 457G, and it is in okay shape. Everything from about here up is fine. Below that level is questionable, mainly because of I can see that there's rust spots and there's solder jobs that have been done here, so I don't know how strong this fount still is. So we had talked about doing a little pressure test on this. It's supposed to run at 25 psi. I thought that maybe if we can put somewhere around, I don't know, 40 psi, not have a problem, then it's probably safe. And the tank is completely dry, so if there's any rust in there, it certainly is not advancing. But yeah, there's several spots right there on that joint where it's been soldered, so a little bit concerning. But I have thoughts, right? So when I went to the Lone Star light up that they had up in Corsicana, which was last week's video, showed you a little bit of what we do up there in kind of northeast Texas there. But I was very lucky to find this. Right. You know, it's great when you you have a find that makes the camera shake, so that's pretty great. So what we have here, this, if you look at the relative size of the burner heads, and we'll get them in the same orientation, I think we'll aim for this camera here. So let me tip this one over like this, and I'm going to tip this one over like this, and now you start to see the difference. So this one here on my left is a 457G, and this is a 460G. So you can see the size of the burners is quite a bit different. And so the leftmost one here is a 35,000 BTU burner. This one is a 50,000 BTU burner. So it is big. So, and it also will hurt you if you're not careful. So I'm gonna set this beast down here, and we're gonna talk about this. So the guy at the gathering sold this to me for a very, very good price, and I was really happy to do that, because right now it's not very useful without a fount, and I happen to have two of these now, right? One with a questionable fount, one with a perfectly fine fount. And who knows, somewhere along the line I may find a good fount, and I may be able to relegate that one to the trash bin. So who knows? But so anyway. The way to spot these, I mean, when you're seeing them by themselves, you may not be able to see really easy what they are. Sometimes you will see, I don't know if you can see this here, but there is a little brass plate right here. And I don't have light on here, but it's going to say that it's a 460. I just got a new shop light, and I did not bring it with me. But at any rate, this is going to tell you that it's a 460. The size of the burner, it comes out almost all the way to the edge of the grate here, whereas the 457 is definitely really only inside like this inner grate. I'm looking at this. Yeah. So the 457, the burner head is not going to be too much bigger than this inner ring. But the 460 is going to extend past that. The other thing you'll notice here is it's got flats, and those flats also help you identify that that is a 460 from a distance. So you're like, well, how's all this going to work? You got a bigger burner head. How's everything going to transfer over? I mean, mechanically, you just transfer it over, right? And that's true. And we're back to the mopping part of the year here. Anyway, so that's true, but you need to have a generator with an appropriately sized hole. So amazingly, Old Coleman Parts sells the 460 generator gas tip, which has the larger orifice in it. And I have, luckily in here, a generator. So step number one for us is going to be pulling out this generator here. I'm going to go ahead and pull my price tag off, even though I love having it on here considering how much I paid for this one. Come on. And anyway, so we're gonna pull this generator off, and we're gonna slide it into here just as a test fit, because I'm pretty sure that the generator is the same. It's just the gas tip that's different. So first thing we're gonna do is pull out said generator. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. Now, this is a 7/16 on here, and I know I've probably mentioned this to you before, but you know, you can use the flat side, but when I'm going into something that I haven't gone into before, I like to use the box end, because this gives me pressure on all points all the way around, lessening the chances of me rounding it out. So, and there was like no pressure required at all to turn this one loose. That is one thing I find so amazing about Coleman stuff, is it is so rare that you find something that's stuck, right? So hopefully this doesn't make a liar out of me. No, it comes out maybe a little too easy. I don't think it was in there very well at all. Right, so generator. We can set this down. And 460 head, and it gets the generator put in like this, and it fits just fine, no problems at all. So this is the best news that I could possibly ever have. So just gonna finger tighten that down. So now I know that I've got something that'll work. So man, we're on our way. So if you're wondering, it's like, well, how's this gas tip thing going to work? Well, the way that these things are constructed, they're very different than a conventional type of generator, and that they have this gas tip on them. And this gas tip, so you have this brass piece on the end, and this brass piece comes off, and underneath here is a tip which is replaceable. And so with that, you can swap out the tip, and now I can put the bigger orifice in there, which will drive this 460 monster like no tomorrow. So let's see. So let's try, and this one I did before. I'm going to go ahead and get these probably a 1/2 inch. Nope. 7/16. Yep. So, no, this is half-inch. I got it wrong. Anyway, so what I did on the previous gas plant in the back is that I set this generator in here, and we clamped it down. Now, these generators are really pretty tough, and they were designed to be rebuilt by your local Coleman dealer. So you would basically go in there, drop off your generator, they'd swap you out a new one, and they just kind of keep doing that for you. So they're designed to come apart and be serviced. So I'm going to stick this dude in here. So yeah, that's the other thing too, is that these are they're not just simply steel, they're stainless steel. And from that, you can actually put some pressure on them, and this should come right off, just like that. Because it's brass and it comes off easy. So we're going to unscrew this, like so. And then we've got you can see the cleaning needle sticking through it. We're going to open the valve here to retract that cleaning needle. It is a little bit stiff. Maybe I should try backing off this packing just a bit so it doesn't wreck it, because I don't want to have to replace packing. No, not going to work. Going to have to use one of these. Okay, back that off just a little bit. That should help us. Right. And now, with any luck, this gas tip should come right out. And, well, I swore I had my glasses around here somewhere. Oh, they're right here. So I want to make sure I can see what I'm looking at. Yeah. So, you can see how this gas tip is just pressed in there. And so all we need is a little pair of pliers on that to gently break it loose. And I'm going to use these 5 grips because they got a bit of a curve on them. I don't like using toothy things, but it just needs just a little tweak, and then it comes out. So this is the gas tip, which is really carboned up. So we'll replace this with the big burner, and it's got you can see the nice big needle that's in there for cleaning. So I'm just going to set that back in there. This, I'm going to see if I can unloosen, just screw that down just a little bit, if I can unloosen the generator from the valve stem, or the valve assembly. So we're going to see if we can get that to happen, which would be great. No, it doesn't want to go. So what I may have to do, put a little bit of lube in here, a little bit of some of this PB Blaster, and let it sit for a day or so, and let it loosen up and come loose. So that way we'll be able to pull this out, pull the spring out, and deal with the generator. This packing in here is really big. It's way bigger than what you would expect in the lantern, and I have some lantern packings here, but these are would be completely dwarfed by the lantern packing, because this is believe it or not, there's just one of them here, but so that's the graphite lantern packing, and you can see in this thing here that it's like, yeah, not even close. That is a monster that's in there. So the last thing I want to do is have to take that out. That would be bad, because I'm not sure how I would repair that again. I guess I could use, they have graphite tape that you can wind around, which may work, but I don't know. That would be a last resort thing, is taking that apart. So we know what we got to do in terms of that. Those parts are on order, on the way, and should be here within a week or so. So what I'm looking at in the meantime is, how do I make this thing look good? So we all know that with these, they've got all these little slits in here, and I'll put a picture up. of my 457G after I've cleaned out the slits, and you can kind of see how they look. And so that picture there is exactly what we should see. Now, this that we have right here is not going to be like that. I can look in here and I can see it's full of rust and other things, and I can see like right here, and this was almost the exact same spot as the other one, but I'm going to stick my pliers in right here and grab this, and this here is it's a piece of lead. So this was obviously used for melting lead, and my other one had lead down inside the slits, which I had to saw out with a razor blade, which I don't know if I still have it here. Do I? No. Yeah, I do. Here it is. I prepared this razor blade here. Probably best if I put it against a white background. But you can see that I dremeled some slots into it, so that way I could actually start to saw through these slits. So that's what it is. So the razor blade does fit in here nicely, and you can go through there and saw through them. But yeah, here's a blockage right here. But the other thing about it that's a little bigger problem is just the whole thing is just basically kind of rusty. So this is where I get to talk to you guys about electrolytic rust removal. So that is like the best thing ever in terms of making rusty things look really good. So see if I can get another example up for you. So what you're looking at right here is a plate from a sausage stuffer, an Enterprise sausage stuffer, and this is kind of how I found it. You can see it's super rusty, super cruddy. You can't hardly see anything on it at all, and you can't read any of the writing on it or anything like that. But after some time in the electrolytic rust treatment and some time with a little bit of oil and baking off in the oven, you get this. And as you can see, it looks like it's brand new. It looks like it just came out of the factory. And so that was the electrolytic rust removal, coupled with coating it with oil and sticking it in an oven and cooking it about 450 degrees or so, which season it's just almost exactly like a cast iron skillet. So it now has a rust-free coating on it that will last as long as it needs to. So anyway, that is how cool electrolytic rust removal is. That's what we want to do to this burner, because electrolytic rust removal will remove the rust from in between the slits and everywhere on here without really any mechanical effort on my part. And it won't remove the lead, so that will still have to be mechanically removed, but it will remove the rust and everything else in there without with removing a minimum amount of metal. And actually, what I can show you, and I just proved this to myself, and we'll go grab it. I have a you run over here to the shop sink. I have a burner frame from a 220, and this one was completely rusted. It's still wet because it's come out of the electrolytic bath not too long ago, but there's what you're seeing on here. This black substance is like magnetite. So this is the rust that's been converted, or this is what you get once you do the reverse electrolysis on it. So everything was like extremely rusty. Like well, it was on order of magnitude worse than this one. Basically, if you imagine the entire thing looking about as rusty, well, worse than this, the whole thing looked like that. So the whole thing was submerged in water, so I put it in there like this, and this is where I did applied the power to it. So this metal was all good. This was submerged, and it was also subject to the electrolytic current. And you can see there is nothing that has happened to it, whatever. It is smooth. There is nothing wrong with it whatsoever. So it is a self-limiting process. Once the metal is cleaned, it stops. And you can't do it too long. You could leave it in there for a week and it won't hurt anything. So that's the part about it that's really pretty cool. So that is what we're going to do with with this. So step number one here is to get at it. So we need to remove this out of here, and hopefully these things come loose without too much of a fight or without me screwing them up. There's, of course, lead down in this one. Well, see, I was talking earlier about this is so great. Everything always works. I never have any problems with things froze up or anything, and well, here we are. Things froze up. This may this may end up being a short video, but we'll see how we can maybe come up with an alternate method of disassembling if we can't get this to work like we want it to. Okay. And you know, the thing about this is a little bit annoying is that they use the gosh darned square nuts on here, which, I mean, are fine. They jam up and they hold themselves in one spot, but you can't really unloosen from the other side. You're relegated to unloosening these with the screw or nothing. So so we're going to see if we can't get this to convinced to come off. And if not, what's going to happen is that we're just going to park the video here, and then we'll do the disassembly and come back to you. I really wanted to kind of show you how the electrolytic stuff worked. Yeah, that's just not really wanting to come loose, and man, the last thing I want to do is strip these out, because they are yeah, they don't want to let go. I could try applying some heat, which may break them loose. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe we'll try that. But the only thing is that this is cast iron, and applying heat with a torch there underneath the cast iron, I'm not sure if I want to get into the problem of potentially breaking it or cracking it, and that would be also another tragedy. The screws could probably be replaced without too much trouble, but you break this grate here and yeah, you're in for a bad time. So what are we going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit and rest and do its bit. I am going to show you how my little very inexpensive electrolysis kit works. So step number one is you need a power supply, and some of you may know, probably not, I fly drones and quadcopters, and I build my own stuff, so those of you that do that will recognize the XT60 plug on this immediately. But what I've got here is really nothing more than a laptop power supply. Let me get all this unwound. I use this to run my my battery charger when I'm on trips. But this is a Lenovo 90 watt 20 volt power supply, and that's all it is. And what I've done is that I've put an XT60 plug on it, which automatically gives me the right polarity for whatever it is that I happen to be doing. Wipe up some of this oil so I don't get it everywhere. The PB Blaster talks about having pinpoint spray, but it's super hard to direct it where you want. Anyway, so so this is the power supply. You can pick these up on eBay for relatively cheap, and the nice thing about them, they're multi-voltage, they are current sensing, so you can't overdrive them because they automatically shut off. And which is important, because if you put together a electrolysis bath that is way too conductive, you'll end up with it kicking out because it just can't supply enough current. But I found that the 20 volts works really good. They'll say use a battery charger. Okay, if you've got a dumb battery charger for like a 12 volt battery, then you can use that and that'll work just fine. Oops, I'm disassembling all my audio gear here. Hold on. Make sure I still stay plugged in, because I don't want to wreck my audio. And so what I then built is this little cable here. And so this is, I use speaker wire because it's heavy duty, and I had it on hand, and it's got the matching plug on there, and I would plug this in, but it would probably short out because this is actually powered right now. So anyway, at any rate, I plug this in like that, and then I've got 2 leads here. I have one here which I have very, very, very obviously labeled part. So you want that to go onto whatever it is you want to take the rust off of. And so with this thing here, I suspended it on a 2x4, and then I clipped this onto here because it's metal and conductive, and then off you go. This other piece, the other side, the positive goes to a piece of sacrificial steel, which some people will say use rebar, which I have in the past, and your rebar will end up looking like this because that reverse electrolysis process absolutely wrecks this. I believe it's the cathode is the positive side, but I mean, you can see it just chews it up. I mean, it is really crazy. But all the rust and everything else that was on your other piece, this is the sacrificial anode, that cathode, I think, again, that makes all this work. So the other side, the positive, goes to the part of metal, scrap metal, that you don't want. And I found that one of the things that works the best with that is to use something that has a lot of surface area. So I have this piece of metal here. Is it? Here it is. I have this was cut out of a piece of thin pipe, and so it's really telling. You can see this is where it was not immersed in the water, and this is where it was. It's all pitted and tore up, but this is the surface area is what really makes this work. You don't get a lot of surface area out of a piece of rebar. You get a lot of surface area out of a piece of flat steel. So if you can have a piece of flat steel in there, use that. That's going to really work way, way, way better than rebar. And so that's what I do for that. So that is how it works. And then you mix up some laundry booster. This is what makes your electrolyte. You can get this at any grocery store. Super washing soda from Arm & Hammer. Not a sponsor. So anyway, I've got a bucket down here. I guess I'll pull this up. It's a bucket like this, kitty litter bucket, that I've got full of water and has the washing soda in it. And I'll essentially wire up my part, clip this as part to the part, the other part to my sacrificial piece of steel, dunk it in there, plug it in, walk away, and then in a couple of days later, all the rust has come off and everything looks great, and then we proceed from there. So that is how this works. I really wish I could have showed it to you live, but you know, there's 1,000,001 different videos on how to do that, and you can probably watch those. But yeah, for this here, yeah, I just don't see myself getting any further with this because I just don't want to wreck anything. So it's going to have to sit for a little bit and then come loose, and maybe we'll try applying some heat. This one I already kind of started to walk the edges of it out, and since it's rusted, yeah, I don't really want to mess it up, and because this is the only one I got. So I guess that's probably it for now, and we'll see you next time. So until then, keep them lit.